Let's begin with the dormancy and delayed dormancy growth stage. This is a stage where real savings can be made by determining what pests are present in your orchard. Click on the Why is this crop stage important in an IPM program? The dormancy delayed dormancy growth stage is the period between leaf fall and when growth resumes in the spring. It is an important stage in an IPM program because this is a critical time for dormant spur sampling, removing mummy nuts, and deciding if you will control pests such as mites and scales with dormant oil sprays. By catching pest problems early, you avoid the need for broad-spectrum pesticides like organophosphates and are applying control measures when natural enemies are less active, thereby protecting them. Use the checklist so you know what to do. The first activity is counting mummy nuts and knocking them off, then destroying them to reduce navel orangeworm and brown rot. If you don't know how, click the Mummy Nuts link. On the How-To page, if you want to learn more about navel orangeworm, click on the link to the Navel Orangeworm Pest Management Guidelines. But first, let's say you don't know what a mummy is. Use the IPM glossary, which you can get to from the link underneath the Navel Orangeworm heading in the Pest Management Guidelines. Manage weeds next. In January, consider applying herbicides based on the results of your fall weed survey. Click on the link to go to the Integrated Weed Management section to learn when and how to manage weeds. You'll find information on how to manage weeds in established orchards, before planting, or in newly planted orchards. Weed management for organic orchards can be found in the Weed Management in Organic Orchards section. See the section on the weed photo gallery. This page lists the common weeds found in almonds. Click on any name, and you'll see photos and descriptions of that weed. Learn what to apply if herbicides are necessary. The herbicide treatment table lists the herbicides in alphabetical order and gives information about their use and mode of action for resistance management. If herbicides will be applied, use the susceptibility of weeds to herbicide control table to assess which herbicides will be the most effective for the weeds you found during your fall weed survey. The herbicide abbreviations are listed at the top. There's a legend explaining them at the bottom of the page. Those indicated by C's mean the herbicide controls the weed. P means partial control, and N means no control. This table lists every weed that's problematic in almonds, but you can customize the list of weeds to create a chart specific for the weeds in your orchard. Learn how here, and click here to customize. Pick the weeds in your field, and here's your customized chart. You'll notice that customizing sorts the herbicides by the level of control. So herbicides with the most C's and P's, the most effective, are in the left columns. Here, simazine is the most effective choice for the weeds selected. Another important activity during dormancy is spur sampling for scale and mite eggs. The mite eggs being sampled are those of European red mite and brown almond mite, not web-spinning mites that overwinter as adults in cracks and crevices in the bark or in the soil. Use the sampling form to record your results and use the photo identification sheets to see what the pests you are monitoring for look like and what other pests you may see at this time. Click on Dormant Spur Sampling, and you'll get instructions and videos on how to sample, everything you need to sample in your orchard. Use the Dormant Treatment Decision table to determine if a pesticide application is needed. Clicking on the pest names will take you to the guidelines where you can learn more. Peach twig borer is another pest to note. You may see hibernacula formed by wintering peach twig borer larvae in your dormant spur samples. Not sure what hibernacula are? Check out the photos and don't forget you can use the IPM glossary. Base your decision to apply a pesticide on past damage history and the previous year's harvest sample. If you want to apply a dormant spray, choose products that are least harmful to natural enemies or water quality, like spinosad. If you wait until bloom, use Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, or another environmentally sound pesticide. Use the link at the bottom of this page to go to the peach twig borer pest management guidelines. Scroll down to use the treatment table to evaluate your options. The insecticides are listed in order of usefulness in an IPM program with the best choices at the top of the table. At the top of the treatment table are 2 buttons linking you to water quality and air quality tools, which will help you choose appropriate pesticides. We'll talk about the air quality tool during fruit development. Let's look at the water quality tool now. Click on the water quality button. You'll see that you can enter your own site conditions. The table shows the potential hazards of the pesticides listed in the treatment table for your orchard. Use this table to compare pesticides and choose the one that is most effective and causes the least environmental harm. To learn more about this database, click on the link at the top. This will be discussed in more detail in the pesticide checklist section of the tutorial. Going back to dormancy, the next item is to monitor for rust, but this only applies if you have an almond variety that retains leaves during the winter. Monitor for scab during the same dormant spur sample as for insects and mites. Use the dormant treatment decision table to determine if a fungicide is needed. The last activity is in a section called Other Pests You May See. These pests may be common, but don't cause damage, or may cause damage, but don't need management every year. For example, armillaria root rot is a problem during wet periods. Click the link to see a photo identification page with ID tips. Click on the picture to see a larger image. Click on each pest name to learn about its biology, damage caused, treatment decisions, and control methods in the pest management guidelines. That concludes the section on dormancy and delayed dormancy. Go to the next module to learn about the bloom to post-bloom period.